Hello guys, and welcome back to Supreme Ruler 2030 with our American campaign. Gone ahead and continued our campaign a little bit. Everything that was already in South Korea, I went ahead and handed over to them. It wasn't really a lot. We do have some more stuff arriving now. As you can see, there's some Russian landing craft moving for some reason. Don't know why. Over here. Unless they're trying to somehow land over here and assist. Either way, their only actual active front is over here in Saudi Arabia, who is currently repelling the Iranians while making piss-poor attempts to do anything over there. But with this being the biggest, most important front capable of moving, I still have all of these light infantry heading there. I finally figured out how to get my Merchant Marines unstuck from this little point here. It was very specific. I had to move them right here. Once they were here, I could feel free to move them anywhere else. They wouldn't move anywhere else before that. This one is still kind of stuck. I'll have to get that out. One thing I just wanted to point out here is if I unpause, you'll notice this giant amount of enemy units that South Korea is fighting getting absolutely bombarded by artillery that South Korea has pretty much just chosen to mass deploy as their lines were getting pretty brutally pushed in just before now. But as you see, just the hellfire, the carnage of all this constant artillery fire has absolutely destroyed these enemies on the front. And as I look at the kills, a lot of that stuff is getting away to heal. South Korea's KDR is still very great, and with all this already deployed, so long as it doesn't find its way directly to the front, which a lot of it is there, it doesn't have quite as much units currently on the front to defend it as would be ideal. I have 27 coming here, 6, there's already 25 there. We have a nice chunk of 56 behind that, and the biggest chunk here of 133 still on the way. We need to get these offensive units handed off as soon as possible because South Korea definitely has the firepower in terms of artillery to deal a lot of damage, as we can see, pushing back a gigantic combined North Korean and Chinese force. However, what they need is offensive units, and getting it to them throughout this campaign is going to prove to be difficult. But they still have enough to push ahead a little bit, give their arty some range to be able to fire and continue to damage these enemy troops. We have plenty of alliances that have rolled in. We're allied with basically everyone in the world that I would ever want to be allied with, so that much is good. Doing some management of my forces, getting some upgrades of older units into newer standardized units. I look back to find a raging offensive by the South Koreans, who are pushing with their own tanks and a mixture of light infantry I've given them, as well as their own infantry. Their arty support helping them, as well as even using air forces. I haven't sent them any air or anything like that. Just focusing on giving them land forces to fuel their offensive. I have a long list of upgrades that are happening, 114 already queued up. In terms of air, could I actually offer them anything? I do have a lot of air. A lot of it's very old. But I still probably won't offer it, because moving air over the ocean is not the easiest. They're railing other units up to the front. That's very dangerous, considering these units have their own stats now. The light infantry is getting destroyed pretty easily on their front line. However, that's not too bad, because it's letting, I see, their more valuable units escape. Their offensive here is kind of running out of steam, and their arty support is still in the rear, unfortunately. However, they did make a pretty decent push. I've just dropped off a number, as we can see, of new light infantry for them. Oh, it gave them even the stuff that was in the water. That's funny. I didn't even think it would work like that. So now they have some new toys to play with, and we have more stuff on its way. We still have... how much? Let's find out. 56, about 160 or so to give them. I'm still stacking up more units that I wish to give them as well, and unstucking more units that I wish to give them. This one is very clearly stuck. The South Koreans are getting their new stack of light infantry moving, and I have more light infantry of my own landing. Getting those rushing forward to the line, which is kind of met back up in even amounts again. A lot of this light infantry I've sent them is already on the front now. It's actually maining their front line for offensive units. Very old stuff, very not good. We're talking Cold War era units here is how old and bad this stuff is. Figure I might as well let their people utilize it. North Korea appears to be generally out of money. Oh yeah, generally out of money. Their treasury's running dry. China is not having the same problem, but that might be a lot of debt. Russia's definitely running out of money, but they still have credit rating. This is still relatively early in the game, might I just add. South Korea's credit rating's holding. As I support their government, I'm technically handing money to them. I am maintaining a balanced budget for now. I turned off the property tax completely and I lowered the low income tax by a single tick on the bar. Probably raising support at least a little bit. Our supports are still going up because of how recent this game starting still is. Our inflation is dropping rather rapidly, especially as our population rises. However, one problem I'm encountering is, except for uranium, which isn't really worth very much to begin with, our GDP is so high, I guess, that it's just completely unprofitable to make anything. We're not selling military goods, why would we do that? But consumer goods, we cannot sell that for a profit. Indie goods, we cannot sell that for a profit. Electricity, nope, not profitable. Ignoring uranium, coal is not profitable. Just mining ore is barely profitable, and we are making some mines for that. It is going to get upgraded, but we're going to need, look at it, look at the demand. A lot more than we're making. So I should probably plant more of that down. But oil, not profitable to make. That's incredible. That's really excessive, actually. I feel like normal drilled oil would be profitable pretty much no matter what. The only reason in real life America would have trouble making profit on oil would be because they're using more expensive methods, which, generally speaking, isn't even represented in the game. Though, funny enough, timber and agriculture are profitable to make, because that makes sense. We'll probably want to go ahead and get some more ore mines placed down somewhere. I can also just go ahead and do a suggested location kind of deal, which I might. Place them over here where we have some coal mines. That's fine. This appears to be capped out. Actually, no, it's not on the coal that it can make, so it's just two overlapping spots. Exploiting the presence of ore is far more important because you need more ore generally. Also, it's profitable to sell. Coal is not. So we're going to focus that. So we'll place another one. Where's this going? On some timber? That's fine. 2, 3, 4. Is that exploiting the whole hex? I don't know if any of that timber's getting in the way. Could be. Might be. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that seems to be about it. Okay, we're building 28 now. I've already added another 10. Let's add 1, 2 on a place that already has an ore mine built. We're building 30 now. That should be good enough for the time being. Just kind of trying to add to it, not trying to run out of money or anything. Oh yeah, look at this. Russia has its own troops landed over here now. It's really Saudi Arabia's decision that they haven't just pushed this excessively to keep them out of this landing point. There's not a whole lot I can do without getting directly involved, and that's the one thing this campaign doesn't want you to do, is get directly involved. I could overload them with troops potentially, but for now, I'll just let them do as they want to do and focus on the big threat, the big war, where it's just constant back and forth. KDR is still very impressive. For every, like, 20 that South Korea loses, they're killing another more than 200, even with a front line made of crappy light infantry. Imagine if I actually gave them stuff that was worth a damn. I'm going ahead now and handing off a... Oh my god. Oh, I think this is my... What? What the hell? My treaty with myself, I have achieved technologies. The fuck? I think this is just my colonies getting my research. Anyway, I'm going off and handing about 56 more light infantry to the South Koreans to make do with. I see they're actually making some notable pushes around Kaesong. With their KDR, it's definitely very impressive the things that they are getting done, especially with this horde of light infantry backed up by their own tanks. Haven't sent them any tanks yet. Kind of keeping track of what I'm sending them. I'm sending them all my old stuff, including old M113s. I haven't sent them the Strikers yet, but those might be next on the list, since right now I am kind of just using Bradleys. But yeah, and especially because I'm gonna end up using the FCSW, and that's not a Bradley upgrade. They might end up getting my Bradleys as well at some point. Oh, here's a renewed offensive. Kaesong is completely encapsulated. There's a barracks here and everything popping out of it is being slaughtered. It's almost entirely AA, but that can't be very good for the morale of the North Koreans. Well, actually, it seems to be doing fine. Oh, I see what this is. I see what happened and went wrong. I didn't... I gave them research sharing for free, where I just gave them all my technologies. Well, okay. That's not exactly bad either. I can go ahead and try to get, here, let me also give you reassign forces, is what I actually wanted to do. Try to get research cooperation with them then. I guess they just have all my technology now. That's not necessarily a terrible thing. That might help them in their fighting. This campaign is quite limited. I guess, yeah. Oh, God. I just picked the wrong R option, I see. I wonder if I recorded when I did that. That's absolutely hilarious. But the offensive is going. They want me to pay them $107 billion to get research cooperation with them after I handed them a bunch of free shit on accident. As absolutely ridiculous as that might be, I'm actually... this might seem weird. I'm actually gonna say yes to it. I don't care that much about getting the 2 techs they have, but this is just not necessarily a bad thing. And I wanted to eventually just give them a fuck ton of money anyway. I was just holding back on it due to the fact that I was sending them money anyway. In the meanwhile, this will give them a nice influx of cash to work with, especially now that their offensive seems to be absolutely renewed. They're pushing on Wonsan. It's going very well here. The Bradleys might be completely unnecessary. Look at all of these things dying. This is absolutely incredible. The M113s and beyond, yeah, might be unnecessary. The light infantry wave might be more than enough. And it's still arriving. It's still arriving. At some point, we might get so much stuff over there that we don't need. And in fact, a lot of the newer stuff I actually haven't set off yet. It's only light infantry that's on its way. I only had everything else deploying. So, oh, here goes the next light infantry wave. With all that money, they'll be able to buy whatever they need. They'll be able to pay off some of their debt, get their credit rating back up, waste it on whatever resources they need, generally keep their population happy, keep morale up. I'm fine with that. Because North Korea, this is a good time to turn an offensive against them. South Korea will get similar help from me in time. I actually went out of my way to make sure that my own budget would be pretty sustainable at a certain rate, because I wanted to be able to just dump money on them eventually. This is a weird way to actually get it done, but as we can see, holy crap, South Korea just took, let's see if they can hold it, maybe not. Yeah, no, they've already lost it. It's gonna go back and forth a little bit. But for land production belonging to North Korea, if they can take this point and hold it, they can essentially outproduce North Korea by a wide margin in terms of land capacity. There is still China to contend with, and China has a lot of stuff back here. But they are dogpiling everything. Offensive unit, RD units, you name it. My own waves of infantry arriving at a pretty decent time to help them in their increased pace push. We can speed this up a little bit here. And let's see what the results are. I've gone and done pretty much all the diplomacy I can for the time being. Oh my god, these results are beautiful. Look at this. They're wiping them out with sheer arty fire. Their credit rating is starting to trickle back up as they don't take out debt. They're spending money relatively quickly, but they're getting a lot of good done with it. A lot of good done with it. This is absolutely beautiful. Oh, Sarawon, another barracks surrounded. God damn. And they're doing this without much air support either. The Chinese aren't rushing to the front as much as they used to, and there's a gigantic South Korean blob now, just concentrating itself. And if I look at the kill to death ratio, oh yeah, they've lost like 2 more units, if any, since I last checked, and they've doubled their kills from like 800 to 1500. And if this leads into fighting China, honestly, I believe they're probably already in a position where they would win. How's the gathering going? It's kind of piling on top of each other, but it's not too bad. Everything that's deployed right now. Oh my god, North Korea just fell. It's 130. Well, there you go. They won. All the Chinese units are retreating. Guess they won't need any more help. They're in a pretty good position then. Sweet. Well, let's pause. We have all the rest of this light infantry arriving. There was still 136 units that never arrived at their destination. I guess I can send those over to Saudi Arabia. I don't really have a lot of choice. Helping them is going to be a little bit more annoying, I believe. Yeah, I want them to come specifically through here. So we're going to redirect them through friendly waters. We're going to have them land. Where's a port I can use on this side? Do you not have a port on this side? You do. It's just not showing. I don't know if this is a bug or what, but this is pretty common. I'm curious if that will update anything. Or if I need to accomplish anything more. Okay. Oh, and this one has actually successfully landed. So we're going to get that heading over to the same place. Sea transport orders should kind of figure out the specifics of what I just did to everyone that was already at sea. Okay. Very nice. They still got a bunch of nice toys to play with. If China fucks with them, they'll be pretty poor off. They should be able to recover their inflations. Ugh. But they should be able to recover, maybe modernize, do whatever they want to do. They are now a force to be reckoned with, and I think they could kick in China's teeth. Oh my god, China's running out of money. Yeah, if China fucks with them now, I don't think China would really win. I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, cool. Then we're going to end up shifting focus. Shifting gears. And looking at Saudi Arabia next. Due to the war being done over here, even though it might break out again. Well, I guess I'm not opposing or whatever North Korea anymore. I was never opposing China. It was pretty expensive. I'm going to stop handing free money to North or South Korea. Or no, sorry, United Korea. I'm going to stop supporting them with that. We're not going to need to do that unless they end up at war again. They got a bunch of free money. They have a bunch of good tech. So they're pretty well off. I feel like I might as well. Oh, that's right. I never had a full formal alliance with Saudi Arabia still. I'm just gonna go ahead since we already accidentally did it with Korea. We might as well do it with Saudi Arabia. Let's just get research cooperation as well as a full formal alliance if they'll take it. We're already supporting them. We're already opposing Iran in every way. We're not opposing Russia, and ideally we won't. Oh man, look at all this. No new flavor text, so I guess we're still gonna be waiting on this. Alright, well, time to get Saudi Arabia a shipment of free stuff now. At this point, our money has gotten so positive that we're charging basically no uptick for any goods that we sell to our people. I'm going to take the unemployment tax, put it to the middle of the bar, pension tax, put it to the middle of the bar, make my people a little happier, give them a little bit more money. The income and expenses will become positive again as my people continue to buy things. It doesn't really matter if I import because we actually just generate enough money just playing as America since we have the high GDP and the game is just balanced to just be like that. And for right now, the other things we're making, the more important things that will generate because we need more importantly, are still just building due to how kind of fast everything is happening in this campaign. So since our inflation is plummeting, but our money is doing great, look, the income's already back up. Because they're just spending that money on new products now. And we went from like positive in agriculture to not positive at all. Maybe I should build some agriculture. It's profitable to sell anyway. That may not be the worst idea. I just gotta ideally find a place that doesn't rely on anything else. And literally just as I finished this sentence, United Korea has declared war on China. I don't know why that just happened now. I know they've been having obvious border tensions. They're not prepared for this at all. I don't think this is story, because there's no story pop-up. I think that's just random. So, I've already sent all the other things that were over there to Saudi Arabia, which I don't regret. Korea, United Korea, has still a lot of units deployed, as we can see. A lot of infantry, experienced artillery and whatnot. And stocked away, they still have a lot of arty as well. I do wonder, and I'll check. I don't think they've liquidated any of it yet. I think it's still too early for that. I'm not really seeing any of what I sent them for sale or anything. And they have a good amount of production now. They have a pretty decent chance against them. I'll go ahead and go back to supporting them. I'll oppose China and fund their opposition, use my money towards those purposes. But otherwise, theoretically, I shouldn't need to get directly involved in this one. I believe that Korea should still be powerful enough, you know, assuming they don't waste their forces on some weird-ass naval invasion that they're about to try. Can't really do much there. But I do still have loads of units that I haven't shipped out to anywhere in case they need the help. But of course, they would do this now. At this point, I'll also oppose and fund insurgency on Russia and just put my money to use in that way as well. Just spread it around, make some use out of it. And I will still look at building agriculture. I found a nice patch here that's like super agriculture-y and not much anything else. I will go ahead and build the little bit of timber that can be built here, but otherwise, we're just gonna start filling this area up with as much agriculture as it can take. Not on cities, just around in the location. Agriculture doesn't take a lot to build at all, and most of it produces naturally anyway. So it also produces relatively quickly, I think. Actually, no, they've kind of increased the amount of time that it takes. But this is a maybe nice little start to it. I might add to it later. How is our inflation doing? 2.6 might be holding. It's good to be investing in ourselves. The start of this war that united Korea has begun isn't looking the greatest. They're charging offensive units forward that are getting artied and just forward fired basically out of existence. Their gigantic arty stack is still just sitting in the rear for now. They're trying to fuel this entirely offensive for the time being. Some amphibious units trying to push across here. Some things that can try to shoot up are shooting, but generally a lot of these units are probably just going to die as well. They, I think, attempted some weird naval invasion that probably didn't work out at all, but, you know, it is what it is. If they start getting incurred upon, which will happen soon, given how quickly they're having to cycle these light infantry out, they're not, they're not doing the greatest at the start here. But if China starts pushing, I think their AI will start reacting a little more aggressively. The AI is just weird in this game. Most of what's on the front right now is like light infantry and stuff that I gave them anyway. So it's pretty old, pretty bad, useless units. And hopefully they'll be able to turn that around. We've begun finishing a lot of the uranium mines we were building. Like, it's all starting to wrap up. However, we're still not building nearly enough. We're still not making nearly enough uranium. Even if we are about to like triple the amount, it's not going to be enough. So I'm going to expand our uranium production further. In the long run, this will be cheaper for us to fuel everything we're building militarily and the little bit of uranium power that we have. And also, it will fuel our economy. That's another thing. It could even turn us a profit in the long run. However, that is very much a long run. But I'm going to find a lot of little kind of detached spots in chunks. I'm just going to place a bunch more of them for right now. How is that? Inflation's starting to go up a little bit. Okay, cool. Industry goods is really no problem whatsoever, which is fantastic. I totally forgot that I was building satellites for launch. My first communication satellite is ready. Go ahead and launch that bitch. Hell yeah. This massive amount of light infantry is close to arriving. I'm still gathering a lot of these other units over here on the coast. We got all kinds of arty and all sorts of things. Older units just moving out there, ready to go. I'm probably going to send them by type, not exactly as a stack. So for example here, they're going to be receiving some arty as well. And it's not all stacked up, I see. Some of it is taking a different path, probably because it's coming from like Alaska. Yeah, well, I will give this arty orders to go because they're pretty stacked up. These are paladin artillery pieces. These are very good, but they're old to a point where I'm not going to need them for the scope of this campaign. So I'm going to get as many of them moving out as can figure out how to move out given the timing of that order, because I don't want to just dump entirely bad old infantry on them and expect them to just conquer the world with it. Speaking of conquering the world with bad old infantry, South Korea has pushed across without their big artillery stack, just with offensive units alone, primarily fueled by the light infantry that I sent them, and is now pouring into these fields of China, taking their territory and pushing on them, chewing through all of their units and garrisons, which I guess are not doing so well, especially with my continued support. Yeah, don't think they're going to need any more units, especially because their artillery will respond with time as well. The world mark for units is pretty much cleared the fuck out, dude, due to all this warmongering. A lot of my ore mines are finishing, but I'm seeing it's definitely not going to be enough. So let's just keep placing more at suggested locations for now, wherever the minister thinks is best, but I'm going to look where he's placing them just to make sure nothing stands out as being particularly weird. Wow, there's a lot of places just out here that are actually just power plants. Okay. Well, that's not too bad. Doesn't matter if we get a little overboard with ore mines, because again, it is profitable to sell. We do need it, but it's going a little under temporarily with those construction costs, but the income is going up with expenses, even without too much changing of prices. We have a lot of leeway with our finances with this GDP, and the inflation is staying where it is now, which is good. We have sustainable growth. A lot of our units are starting to land in Saudi Arabia, that light infantry wave, which is good. Was moving things by on very fast there, just to kind of let time fly by. South Koreans are being very constant about their unit trickle. Oh man. So they've gone back to like hardly losing anything, but they're also hardly killing anything. They're pushing in many locations. So it's a little back and forth. The lack of concentration means the actual, funny enough, the scale of it isn't that high, because they're trying to do this entirely with offensive units, probably due to them, well, being on a successful offensive. Alright, I've landed 136 light infantry in Saudi Arabia. Let's reassign forces, and we will see. Let me just request nothing. We will see how they use them. These are cheap, inefficient units that South Korea has used to pretty amazing effect. We've been supporting them for a very long time. Credit rating maybe isn't doing the best. You know what? Let's go ahead and give them a nice influx of money to work with then. We'll give them like 51, yeah, sure, 51 billion on top of that. So they're getting 136 offensive units. It seems to be what they're lacking is offensive units. They have already. I have some more coming for them now. 150, 36 or whatever. Offensive units. Let's see if they either throw that over here and waste it, which they probably will eventually. Or if they throw that over here, either way, as long as they get some good kills, they have roughly even build capacity with the Iranians. So it should be neck and neck. Where are they sending it? They're sending it over here. Okay, that's a good first step. Okay, they're splitting some of it up. So some of it is going north to Iran, but a lot of it is also coming over here to counterattack. So they're sending some on the offensive and keeping some for the defensive. And so here they're arriving. The enemies have set up some amount of garrisons in their former territory. What's the KDR of Saudi Arabia? They were pretty neck and neck, 1-to-1, before they kind of ran out of troops, ran out of steam. Curious to see how they handle this. I'm going to use this as my way to figure out if I should send them like a bulk of M113s next, or figure out exactly how I'm going to help them. Iran's money is, well, their credit rating's doing much better. Speed things up a little bit and see how they treat it. We don't have too much else we have to do for the time being. I still feel like the Iraqis have played some part in helping. Actually, I can figure that out real quick. The Iraqis, who have only 3 kills and 1 death, so clearly not a whole lot of part. They're pretty much sweeping through their former territory fairly easy with the limited amounts of units that they have put there. There's not a whole lot stopping them. And where there is, seems to be right here on the sea pier itself that was taken from them. And they are reacting very quickly to sending reinforcements over there. This amount of units alone is pretty much allowing them to retake everything, which is good. It stops Russia from operating there. The bulk of their other units are charging in from the tippy top of Iraq. And where are they going? They're going after towns that have mostly garrisons. But what are they doing? They're just attacking very casually, not very well. Oh, they've sent, yeah, they sent some more. Russian planes are in the area. I will end up sending some, like, AA and AT as well. They probably won't go too offensive with that, but it would be good for them to have. Looks like they will end up taking this town. Alright, they've captured a city. They can now generate their own supply, separate of Iraq's supply, if it's even flowing through. They shouldn't seem to have a whole lot of trouble with taking these towns. The light infantry actually seems to be good enough. We have another satellite available for launch. We will launch it. Okay. Okay. You have some more merchant marines heading. This is actually more light infantry that landed over here, and there is more that landed, so this still isn't even all the light infantry. We'll send more over to Jeddah. We'll definitely want to get them some more units though, so I'm going to sea transport over some AA Avengers. I believe, if I look at their units in reserve, yeah, they have a ton of arty. Sending them a whole bunch of arty maybe wouldn't have a whole lot of sense. AA could be useful for them, but they still have some of that anyway. It's primarily going to be offensive units that they need. However, they will still get support, although I might want to keep an eye out to see if these guys need it too, especially for AT, would probably come in handy for Korea now that they're fighting the horde bulk over here of China. They are suffering some more losses too with their offensive units on the front. Not much is certain. That big horde of arty has not moved in bulk, but the war is going, and for now, it's decent enough. The military approval of China's fallen based on how much they've lost and how quickly. I have to keep an eye on both while figuring out how to best divvy up forces that I send out. However, we've made big progress this episode, if I do say so myself. So we're going to call it here. I will pick this up in the next episode, and we'll see how this goes. One objective done, another one on the line, self-improvement going at a very good rate. Hope you guys are enjoying this series, and for now, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.